Elisabeth Vogel tells us about her fascinating career from working for King Hussein in Jordan to hotel director of a cruise ship. You can't miss this one. I would like to introduce you today to Elisabeth Vogel, who is the hotel director for Azamara Pursuit. So, welcome, Elisabeth Vogel.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you.
You know, I think where we started in our life often has influenced who we are today. How did your early life influence who you are today?
I have to say, I think the biggest influence in my life was my mother. And of course, the life my parents had. And we moved around a lot because of my father's career. At a very early stage, we moved towns and houses. And that meant also to move friends or leave friends and make new ones. So I was never bothered by that. I embraced it. I loved it. And I was always very eager and very curious to new things. And I think ultimately that led me to what I'm doing now. But so my mother was a big influence who knew me very well and gave me great advice to what to do in my life.
Hotel director job is a huge job and certainly a big feather in your cap for you as a woman, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I'm responsible here for 300 people just in the hotel alone. But also we have a great team, so it's not only on my shoulders. And I always like to share the responsibilities because it's also very motivating for the department heads and everybody around me. So it's always a teamwork. I mean, especially on a ship where you can't just exchange people easily. Everybody is a screw in the engine. So one is missing, it starts stuttering. We have to help them to replace it or fix it. And so it's actually a big teamwork. I wouldn't say that's my responsibility alone. Ultimately, yes, but I have a great team around me.
Now, what does a hotel director do? Normally, I would think, well, maybe that's just the sleeping rooms, but I know it's much more than that.
No, I'm responsible for the housekeeping, guest relations, which is on the ship, the reception, like a front desk in a hotel. Everything concerned with food and beverage, that means service, bar, galley, the inventory, the entertainment, everything that's concerned with a guest that has nothing to do with driving the ship, that's my responsibility.
The two of you really, the person who is responsible for driving the ship and you for everything that happens within the ship, I would think are the two primary people.
Totally agree. I mean, of course, the captain, he is in charge of everything and he makes the ultimate decisions. And we have an executive team. That's the chief engineer, the staff captain, who is second in command and is responsible for the maintenance of the ship, then human resources manager Beth, and me. So we, of course, without the chief engineer, the ship wouldn't run. Without the HR manager, we would have a big problem. Without the staff captain, etc. So this is the executive team and we do the decisions together.
And so you have your regular staff meetings, your management meetings, just like any other corporation?
Yeah, I'm trying not to do them too often, only if necessary. So it's not like every other day. It's at the beginning and in the middle of the cruise and towards the end. I used to do them more often, but then it was, not really necessary. So whenever I think it's important and I have a list of things that I need to tell them, I call in a hotel director meeting and then we talk about the issues that have to be addressed.
Let's talk about how you got from here to here. You didn't go into it immediately. So was cruising even in your mind when you started your career?
Never, unfortunately. That's the only thing I regret. That I didn't know about it earlier because I would immediately started with cruise industry. I'm very happy that I found it at the end of my career and I'm very, very happy with it. But I started as an apprentice in the 5-star hotel in Munich. After 2.5 years, I got a job offer there. So I worked there for 1 year until a guest approached me and offered me another job to go to England to work for a very rich and famous German family and as the private assistant of the lady of the house. which I gladly accepted. And so I was living with them in London and Switzerland, and we moved around a lot, and also in Germany, until unfortunately they got divorced. And when that happened, I remember I was sitting with her in her bedroom. We had a glass of red wine and were smoking and talking about it. And we made a pro and con list. And then I said, well, it doesn't make sense to stay. So I left her. But I called a friend and asked her, do you have any recommendation what to do now? And she said, well, I have a headhunter address in London. Why don't you give him a call? And I called him and faxed him. That time I faxed him my CV. And he said, well, I have a job offer in Jordan. Maybe you want to look at it. So to make a long story short, I became the assistant executive housekeeper of King Hussein in Jordan, and worked for him in his palaces and houses in Amman and Aqaba. And one of the best years of my life, I have to say. It was for 1 year. And then my mother, she suffered from cancer and she got sick again. And then after being outside the country for 4 years, I decided to go back to Germany. And I started a job at the Frankfurt Trade Fair show, which is one of the biggest in the world. And from my experience, I got a job in the protocol department where I organized exhibitors evenings, with the top stars like Andrea Bocelli, opening events, tours, and I was responsible for the VIP club. So I did that for 4 years, and then they offered me a better position as sales director of international sales, where I also traveled around the world again. Then I had the stupid idea to get self-employed and do something with incentive tours, and that didn't work out. So ultimately I went back to the hotel business and became a guest relations manager in a Sheraton hotel in Frankfurt, which we then remodeled into a Westin in 2 years. And from there I left to do a job as in a hotel consultant, where I traveled all over Europe as a somehow secret shopper. So I worked for the Intercontinental Hotel Group and checked on Holiday Inns and Holiday Inn Express all over Europe. So I would go there in the afternoon, check in under a wrong name, and the next morning I would reveal who I am and walk through, and then I would see if the hotel is still in good shape or not. The most strenuous work I ever did. I did that for half a year until I was offered a hotel manager job. That was my first position as a hotel manager, which didn't really work out. I made the mistake to go for the title and not for the product. That happens. So after 1.5 years, I left again and discovered the cruise industry. I sent in my CV to Sea Cloud Cruises, and half an hour later I got a call. And so I started there as hotel manager of one of the very beautiful sailing vessels. After 5 years, I was kind of bored with the itinerary, and it was the same every year. And then I saw Azamara and said, that's where I want to go, and the rest is history. So my CV is not really a red line. It's a lot of zigzags, but I always went for the fun and what I thought was best for me and would suit me best. So after this hotel manager job, I never did that again, with choosing the title above the suitable job. So when I looked for the new job in the cruise industry after resigning from Sea Cloud Cruises, I had a lot of offers, but I didn't take them because I thought not right for me. So that's why I'm here and why I'm very happy here.
You have had an unbelievable career background.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So let's just talk about a couple of those. Your personal assistant job to one of the richest women, I assume, because she was able to afford it. So what did you do as personal assistant? Everything, probably. But.
Okay. Now you have to imagine having a household with three children, 3 nannies, chef, butler, and maids. And everything you don't like to do, I did. So I organized pretty much the household, the duties, organized the traveling, I organized her life, her appointments, her dates, her hairdresser, whatnot, and did her mail. For example, she had a lot of godchildren. And she had a list of what she gave them for birthday and Christmas. So I followed up on that, and I organized a Santa Claus party for her children and the friends of her children. I organized the huge summer party in the country house with people like the Rolling Stones. I mean, Mick Jagger was there, Jerry Hall, Prince Michael of Kent, and a lot of other famous people. So I organized that from beginning to the end. And I organized her what she was wearing on special occasions. So I had a book, said you can't wear this because you wore this the other time. So yeah, I organized her life and the life of her family.
So how old were her children at the time?
Oh, the youngest was about 3, and the oldest 7, and the daughter was in between. Yeah.
And how old was she? Was it like 30s?
She was
or
no,
40s?
she was a little bit older than me. She was 10 years older and 30s. Yeah.
I would hardly know where to start. It sounds like so many things that going on all the time. Did you feel like you were, well, with your organizational skills, maybe it was not a problem? Because
Not really. I mean, beginning, of course, to get to know everybody, and then we moved in the winter and the summer. We were in Switzerland, and then in spring and autumn we were in London. So, and that was before the children. No, so I made a mistake with the children. They were 2, 4, and 5 because they were not in school when I was working there. So we had to move around. So to get to know everybody in the household was at the beginning a little bit difficult. And I have a nice story to tell you. I mean, I'm German, and my English is now a lot better than it was at that time. So the butler explained to me how the phone worked. And I got a phone and I picked it up, and there was a man on the other line saying in very proper English, British English, well, I'm the valet of Lord Rothschild, and I just wanted to let you know that the lady of your house has left her Wellingtons and her Macintosh in the trunk. He could have spoken Chinese. I didn't understand a word he was saying, so I didn't know that Wellingtons were rubber boots and Macintosh is a raincoat. And the trunk, okay, I found out that's the back of the car where you store things. But at the beginning it was not so easy, but I got into it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun as well. Yeah.
what do you think was the most challenging part of that particular job?
To know all the titles of all the people. The British aristocracy is really not easy. So you can have a lady who is from the aristocracy married to a common man. So it's Mr. Smith and the Honorable Lady such and such. I think that was the most challenging thing. And of course, everybody has their moods, and to work around that was also, I mean, my boss was really nice and most of the times, but of course, you know, it's not always sunny everywhere.
People are people.
People are people, yes, yeah.
And then you went on to work for King Hussein.
Yes.
So tell me some experiences you had there.
It was pretty much the same. I mean, it's like working as a housekeeper in a hotel. I mean, it was just a very, very big house and a lot of children and a lot of guest chalets they had, and of course the climate. But I was responsible for the housekeeping, to keep everything working and clean, and to work around the family, not to disturb them, because it was the private house. And of course we also had the official buildings. It was not that easy, but it was great. It just had a lot of fun, and I met the most famous people, and not famous, I mean important people like Yitzhak Rabin and Yasser Arafat, and all these people from the Middle East, and yeah, it was very interesting.
And what language were you speaking when
English.
you worked there? English?
English. I picked up a little bit of Arabic, but not enough. It's a very difficult language, but beautiful. So I can say hello, how are you, and at the end of my contract I could understand what they were talking about, but speaking myself is very difficult.
What was one of the big challenges you could think of in that job?
I think the biggest challenge was to be the boss of the man there, the technical people. One challenge was that we had a peace treaty signing in the throne room, and that was a marble floor, and we had wooden chairs. So moving wooden chairs on marble makes a lot of noise. So I asked them to get me these felt pads that you can glue under the legs of the chair. And he came with a hard plastic. I said, no, that's not the right thing. You should get the felt thing. And he came back and had leather, also hard. I said, okay, this is not going to work. I have to approach this a different way. So I said, okay, let's go to the throne room and I will show you. I showed him the throne room. I moved the chair and said, what do you think we can do? Do you have any idea? And he said, oh yes, he knows a shop downtown. He will get something. And he brought me the felt. So I said, wonderful. Thank you. What a brilliant idea. And so from that moment on, I made them feel like they had the idea, and that made life a lot easier.
That's a good point.
And the other thing in Jordan, I mean, the culture is just very different. So if you come as a single woman and live by yourself, you are a hooker. You can't do that in this country. You either live with your family or with your husband's family, but you don't live alone as a woman. So I was really an exception. I had a lot of people approach me for the wrong reasons and being friends with me for the wrong reasons. But I had a very good friend. I made a very good friend there who adopted me and took me under his wings. And we're still friends. And he explained a lot of this culture to me, and that made my life a lot easier.
Did you have to wear a
No,
sari or anything?
no. No, Jordan is a very liberal country. It's the Switzerland of the Middle East. My father advised me I should wear long skirts and long sleeve blouses. He was in Saudi Arabia at one point, and when I came the first time to Amman, I saw the girls in hot pants, and it was August, and I had all these long sleeve blouses, and I was just like, really, seriously. So no, it's totally fine. You can wear whatever you like. Yeah.
And did you have to speak a particular way because he was king?
Yeah, of course, we addressed him with His Majesty. And I mean, this is something you learn, but I didn't have to curtsy or anything. On the contrary, he was the nicest persons I ever met. He had the karma, and he was a great person. So when I first saw him, he embraced me, he hugged me, he kissed my cheek, he kissed my hand. He was so welcoming. It was really amazing. Yeah.
And did the whole royal family live right there?
Yeah.
And you lived there as well?
No, I had an apartment in Amman. Yes,
Okay.
yes. I had everything done for me. So I had my car, I had my apartment, I had my cleaner. I mean, very, very nice life for my age.
So why did you decide to leave?
I met a lot of people there who said, oh, I'm leaving next year. They're still there. And I couldn't imagine my life being there forever. It was a great experience, but I wasn't particularly keen on marrying somebody from this area and live there forever. It was great, but not forever. So I thought I'd rather go now. And as when my mother was really sick and I wanted to be with her. Yeah, that was mainly the reason why I left. But I visited again. So, yeah.
What do you love about working on a cruise ship?
The job itself. I mean, I've done it ashore and on land. And the hotel director on land, he's mainly on the desk all day. He's doing sales, yield management. He's number crunching all day long. And that's just not me. And on the cruise ship, especially this size, you have the opportunity to speak to your guests, to get to know your guests, like we got to know each other. And I'm speaking to the guests and I'm around, so I hear their concerns. And I'm responsible for the smooth operation of the ship. And I can only do that if I'm in the operation. And that's what I can do on the cruise ship, and this size. And that's exactly what I always wanted to do. And that's what I love. And of course, the itineraries of Azamara are just the best. So, yeah.
So in your job, you're able to empower women.
Yeah.
What do you do
Well,
to help?
I wouldn't particularly say that I prefer women towards men. I treat them equal. And if I see a woman who is very, very good on her job, I would look after her and see that I can promote her and help her in her life and coach her in the right way. But I would do exactly the same for men.
For men.
So I'm very, my boss always told me, be fair, firm, and consistent. And that's what I'm with all the people here. And I'm very proud of working for Azamara and especially for Pursuit, because we have a lot of women in higher positions here. So that makes it easier. And to encourage people to do what I do. I think I'm setting a good example. I think that's the best way I can promote women and to show them what can be done and what we can do.
Now, one of the things you said, which I think resonates in so many different fields, is I went for the title, not the position, as I should have gone for the position.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that, because I think people can fall into that trap easily.
Yeah. Well, for example, you work in a big company, in a big enterprise, and somebody offers you the next step, but not in your field, in another field, because they just like you and they want you to be in their department. But you're not sure if that is the right thing to do for you. You really should look into that before you do this step, because you can end up in the totally wrong position. You're not happy, you're not making anybody happy, and you will lose your job. As if you would have stayed there and make your way up in your field, would have made more sense. And sometimes titles are so tempting that you go for it and it's not the right fit. You really have to do something that you're good at. And what I do, I reflect a lot on what I'm doing on a daily basis. And when I make mistakes, I'm trying the next day to make it better. And I think it's difficult for me to say, but I think I'm doing a good job and I'm good in what I'm doing. And so I would never change that. I couldn't, as I said, I couldn't go back to Germany as a hotel director and do number crunching. I would suck. I mean, I would really be bad, and I couldn't do it. So I would lose the job and be without it. So go for what you do best and what you like to do. That's really important, because only if you're good at it makes you happy and the other people happy. And that's meant for going higher.
As you're looking out, maybe even 10 years, what do you see for yourself?
I hope I'm still at sea. I don't know if I will still at Azamara. I would never, you know my life. I would never plan 10 years ahead. Maybe 2. Yes, of course, being a hotel director in a beautiful, small-sized ship and travel the world. I could also see myself on an expedition ship. I think the world has so much to offer that I will go on traveling and doing what I do. I'm not planning to retire anytime soon.
What do you see as maybe some advice for people that might be thinking of following in your footsteps or going on a cruise ship where they never considered doing that?
I think I made my career because I was going above and beyond. I mean, you can do what you're told to, but if you really want to go somewhere, you have to think out of the box and ahead and look over the horizon and see what else you can do. Come up with ideas, go out there, communicate, and do the best job you can do. And then you will be recognized, and then you get a good career. But do what you do like best. That's the most important.
Well, thank you so much for your advice. Do you have anything else that you'd like to tell our listeners?
Just love life, love the world, and look at it.
Because life is short, isn't it?
Life is short, and the world is changing, and you should look at it and make it a better place.
How do you think technology is going to impact what you do?
Oh, I hope we are going to be cleaner and cleaner. India is now banning all single-use plastic on cruise ships. So before we go to India, we have to get rid of it, and I love it. I think the whole environmental issues are going to help the industry to become better and cleaner and make the world a better place.
I notice I believe it's California hotels, they no longer can give out the little bottles of anything. They put everything right on the shower wall.
Yeah, we are doing the same now. We are already testing this. We are going to get water dispensers, not use the single bottles anymore. We already got rid of the straws, the plastic straws and the plastic stirrers. So every year we're doing something more for getting rid of the plastic use. It's very important.
Well, I so admire everything you've done and how far you've come and how you've just taken on a challenge and whipped it out and you've done it.
Yes.
And I think that is fantastic. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate you sharing
Yeah.
all that with
Yeah,
us.
and yeah, you should never be scared of doing something. Just try.
And you've done that.
I've done that, yes, and I don't regret it at all.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you're inspired to tell everyone about our podcasts. Join our community by subscribing to our website, trailblazersimpact.com. And remember, you must learn a new way to think before you could master a new way to be.